A lot of our clients are authors, but they always feel like, oh, writing web content is going to be so much more difficult than their book content.
We had an interesting experience with a client. We were building out a sales page for this client. She's a really good author. I actually read her book in preparation for this landing page that we were building for her. And as we were building out this wireframe for this landing page, we had a certain way that we do landing pages for book launches. And we were going through our usual setup for that and looking at her content, her testimonials and things like that, and just kind of outlining it. And then I decided, well, let me put this into ChatGPT and see what, maybe give you some other suggestions, see what we can come up with. So I put our framework into there, and kind of at the last minute, I was like, well, I'm going to need some content. And normally what we would do, we would go through this entire strategy process and we would pull a lot of data out to get that client's voice. And to really get your voice out of any AI, you've got to put in a lot of data. It needs to really, truly understand who you are. Because she's an author, she wanted to write her own copy for the page. So I was just trying to get some copy in there so that we had a framework to show her before we went into the full design, and then she could tweak copy from there. And I did that, and when I pushed the button on ChatGPT and it came back with this beautifully written landing page, I was just like, okay, all right, this is fantastic. So we hadn't met with her yet.
Yeah.
She's coming at this with this idea of, we're going to have some generic copy in there. Because that's what we told her. We're like, okay, if you're writing the copy, we'll just put some generic placeholders in there. It'll give you an idea of what you will need to write when you get to those sections. But because at the last minute, I decided to test ChatGPT with her book and it spit out the copy exactly in her voice. When we presented the wireframe to her, she was absolutely blown away by the copy. She's like, oh my gosh, that sounds like me. And I said, well, that's because we put your book into the process.
Yeah.
And now it has your voice and it knows all of the content that was in the book. So all of the bullet points that it spit out were perfectly in alignment with content that was in the book. It also saved the client. And now she was, planning to spend several hours going writing all this content for her page. And she's like, oh my gosh, she's like, I want to change this and I want to change that. But the rest of this is just, it's really good. And I'm like, well, you wrote it. It is your content. It's just your book, put through it.
Yeah, it's just reorganized.
Yeah. So if you are struggling to train an AI and you have a book, or even if you have a lot of content in specific blog posts or anything that you have written, add that in there, feed that into it, give it as much as possible.
And I think what's so funny is that, we have other clients who are authors. Now, to be clear, like, we can absolutely help our clients with writing their content. But for the ones who said, no, they specifically want to do it themselves, they've had a little apprehension around, well, writing this way is different, and we guide them with all the principles. But, now having that opportunity to feed that into AI and help them hear their own voice, I think has been so cool. So even if you are not a person who has a lot of written content, maybe you're like me and you're like, I'm video or podcasts all day long, guess what? You can just get transcriptions of your podcasts or of your videos and use that as a way to fuel the AI tools that you're using to hear your voice and to hear the way that you're talking and understand how you would do that in a written format. So it's something that can really work for anybody. You still need to come at this with strategy, like knowing the right things in the right order and how to make that flow for a customer journey. You still need to come at this with a refining eye, but oh my goodness, how much further you can get when you know the right frameworks and the right order, like you said, to feed things to AI. It can really create a big lift for you and for your brand and your business when you do that.
Yeah. And I think that's probably the number one thing that people are struggling with right in this moment, with AI being as new as it is what do I put into it? There's a lot of YouTube videos out there that are just like, okay, feed these, 2 paragraphs worth of instructions into ChatGPT and watch the magic happen. And that's not how it happens.
No.
They still need the human touch. They need the human eyeballs to refine and make sure, because ChatGPT and all these tools, they can get things wrong. They can have wrong facts. They can say things in weird ways sometimes, so you still need that human element, but it does save a lot of time. And when you have the right content and the right strategy and you feed that strategy in, then you get the results that are way better than those 2 paragraphs of custom instructions.
We're excited to really have a step-by-step formula written out for clients that starts first with the human to human and how you want to be seen and
Mhm.
understood and how your audience wants to receive from you. So starting first from that component and then looking at how can we help fast track certain pieces with the support of technology all along while you get to lead the way and you get to refine it as you go. So if that sounds interesting to you, subscribe, comment down below. We'll keep you posted and we can't wait to connect next time.